And after that, guys, we have an amazing main event right here. The number 3 light heavyweight fighter in the world in Dominick Reyes, 12 wins and 2 losses. And then Jiří Procházka, 27 wins, 3 losses, and 1 draw. Both men have decent power in their hands. And when I say decent, I mean amazing. In terms of Jiří Procházka, 27 wins, 3 losses, and 1 draw. He either gets knocked out or he ends up knocking out his opponent with 24 knockout wins, 2 submission wins, and 1 fight going all the way. Absolutely insane. 2 knockout losses and 1 submission loss on his record so far. A lot of power and a lot of power and a lot of power and a lot of power. I'm gonna just keep on saying that he has a lot of power in his hands. That's the main thing about Jiří Procházka. The one thing is he keeps his hands very, very low, and Dominick Reyes has some pretty good power of his own. Could capitalize on that and getting nice right-handed, knock Jiří Procházka out. Who knows? That is definitely a possibility for Dominick Reyes in the fight. But another thing is Jiří Procházka, an 80-inch reach, and then Dominick Reyes, a 77-inch reach right there. So a good reach advantage for Jiří Procházka in the fight. He's only 28 and a half years old, having double the amount of double the amount of fights as Dominick Reyes has, being 3 years younger. Absolutely insane. More than 30 fights as a professional MMA fighter. Absolutely insane. Dominick Reyes on his only 2 losses in his MMA career to Jan Blachowicz and John Jones by unanimous decision, and then second round knockout. Those are his only 2 losses to the reigning light heavyweight champion and the former light heavyweight champion. So really good competition he's losing to, but this is going to be a really, really good striking fight between Jiří and Dominick Reyes. In my opinion, I'm going to say right now, either Jiří Procházka by 1st or 2nd round knockout, or Dominick Reyes by 4th or 5th round knockout. I think Dominick Reyes, if he can get past the onslaught in the 1st and 2nd round from Jiří Procházka, will come back in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round and just dominate the striking show, because Jiří Procházka does have some decent striking, but with all the movement that he does in most of his fights, with his head movement, that's moving around the cage, ultimately, it's going to lead him to tiring out in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round. In the 4th and 5th round, he's going to be very, very tired. So that is where I think Dominick Reyes will have the advantage in the 4th, 3rd, and 5th round, 100%. But Dominick Reyes is a wrestler with legit striking, 100%. Really good boxing, and loves his body shots, 100%. 48 significant strikes against John Jones were to the body, which is just absolutely insane. Solid wrestling skills. He only achieves 2 takedowns so far inside the UFC. And his takedown accuracy has not really been too good at only 16%. So in my opinion, I know he has some pretty good wrestling skills, some pretty good clinch, and some pretty good grappling skills. But in my opinion, I think the fight will stay on the feet for 5 straight rounds. I don't really see Dominick Reyes implementing that clinch or wrestling game plan in this fight. He does have some really good takedown defense of 82% as well. He's outstruck every single one of his opponents inside of the UFC, except for Jan Blachowicz, meaning he ended up outstriking John Jones. That is absolutely insane. Ended up losing the fight, a really, really close fight, but ended up outstriking John Jones in the entire fight. Absolutely insane. 2 knockout wins inside the UFC. The first one coming in 2 minutes of the very first round. Absolutely insane. Very solid cardio as well. Can go 5 rounds with the best of the best, like John Jones. I mean, that fight was absolutely insane. By the way, in the comment section below, put who you guys think will win that fight between John Jones and Dominick Reyes. I don't know. Could have went either way. It was a really, really close fight. But put that in the comment section below. But that was a really, really close fight. And if you're getting that close of a fight with John Jones and looking really, really good in the later rounds, I mean, his cardio kind of faded in the later rounds. But to be able to go 5 rounds with John Jones shows some pretty good cardio. I have to say that 100%. 2 very solid walk-off head kick KOs in his pro MMA career so far. These really good kicks and really, really good boxing as well. Blue belt in BJJ. He doesn't really use it because he's only got 2 takedowns inside the UFC, but really good BJJ and some pretty good wrestling skills as well. Pretty good striking defense and pretty okay head movement. Lots of jabs and lots of body kicks and a lot of head kicks. Doesn't really utilize the leg kicks all too much in his fights, but a lot of good head kicks and body kicks in this fight so far. Jiří Procházka, I'm going to say right now, he will make you unconscious unless you're Jan Blachowicz, unless you're John Jones, and maybe unless you're Dominick Reyes. This is a really close fight. Could go either way, but the man pretty much makes every single one of his opponents either go unconscious due to submission or go unconscious because he just got punched in the face with a super powerful right hand from Jiří Procházka. I mean, his right hand is so powerful. Arguably a top 3 most powerful fighter in the light heavyweight division of all time. I'll say it right now. Jan Blachowicz, John Jones, not John Jones. Jan Blachowicz and Jiří Procházka are probably the two most powerful punchers in the light heavyweight division. The man's got power 100%. Crazy movement. I mean, he moves around the cage so much. Really interesting head movement. But the thing is, he leaves his hands way too low, man. He leaves his hands right here and looks for the shots. Man, that's the one thing I don't like about Jiří. If he would just keep his hands up here, I would say right now, I have Jiří Procházka winning the fight by knockout. But he keeps the fight way down here. He keeps his hands way down here. Don't know why, man. That is definitely going to be a disadvantage because, I mean, Dominick Reyes is going to capitalize on those hands being really low and with a lot of good right hand shots in the fight. But overall, top 3 most powerful punchers in my opinion. He is Jan Blachowicz, Sheshin brother, as he's Sheshin power with crazy total of 24 knockout wins on his record, which is absolutely insane. Former Rising light heavyweight champion, beating guys like Volkan Oezdemir, CB Dalloway, Fabio Maldonado, Mohamed Lawal, Carl Bryson, and Vadim Nemkov, and then Darko Sosik. Look at all those guys, even outside of the UFC, facing the UFC caliber competition. I mean, the man's an absolute beast, 100%. Solid cardio, but I give the cardio advantage probably to Dominick Reyes in the fight. Likes to make his opponents come to him. That is the one thing I like about him. He makes his opponents come to him because it's really dangerous going into that zone where Jiří can land that big right hand, but he wants him to come closer and closer and closer so we can time that big right hand and hopefully end up knocking you out in the first or second round. Again, he's gonna have the 3-inch reach advantage. It's gonna be a really good factor for Jiří in the fight. Very young, only 28 years old, having a lot of experience. Very unorthodox movement. I mean, his head movement, his movement around the cage is so unorthodox. I've never seen anything like it. Maybe Anderson Silva in the middleweight division. That's about it. This man's movement is absolutely insane. And then pretty okay wrestling defense and pretty okay grappling. In my opinion, I think the fight will stay on the feet. As I said at the beginning of this video, it's either a first round knockout win, a second round knockout win for Jiří Procházka, or a 4th round knockout win, or a 5th round knockout win. Sorry about that. For Dominick Reyes, those are the one or two things I really see happening in the fight. I do not think this fight will go all the way. I believe the betting odds that the fight will go all the way, like plus 300, something crazy like that. But I do not think this fight will go all the way. One of these two guys is going unconscious, 100%. I think if there's a finish from Dominick Reyes, it'd probably be in the later rounds. Obviously, if there's a finish from Jiří, it'd be in the earlier rounds. But it's just, can Dominick Reyes get past the onslaught of Jiří Procházka in the first and second round? That is the main thing I'm looking for in the fight. Because if he can, I have Dominick winning the fight. If he cannot, obviously, Jiří Procházka would be getting the knockout in the first or second round. I think it's 50-50. I think the odds should be -110, -110, -115, -115, whatever the case may be. I think it's a super close fight. I think either way, one of these two guys is going to get a knockout. And Man, it's so close, man. It's so close. But I don't think Dominick Reyes has felt the power of a guy like Jiří. Unless, other than Jan Blachowicz, that's the only other guy that can match the power of Jiří Procházka, and we all know how that went. Dominick Reyes got knocked out in the second round, did the chicken dance, and fell down and got TKO'd in the second round with a broken nose as well. So I think Jiří Procházka can do a similar thing to Jan Blachowicz and go out there, use his head movement, use his movement around the cage, and eventually time that right hand and eventually knock out Dominick Reyes in the second or first round. I know it's a super close fight. If it gets past the second round, I will be going Dominick Reyes, but I don't think it will go past the second round. So overall, in the main event right here, for UFC fighting Reyes versus Procházka, I have Jiří Procházka going out there, winning in his first fight, in a main event fight inside the UFC, on a first or second round knockout with a nice right hook on the jaw of Dominick Reyes, putting him out cold in the first or second round. So my